You ever just feel like you're living in somebody else's life? Coach, I don't like these clothes I got on. I don't like the car I'm driving. Whose job am I holding? I don't like the relationships I'm in. Coach, whose life am I living? Well, I think a lot of us have been in this scenario, whether the transition of, becoming a mom, getting married, moving to a different state, starting a different job, whatever transition that life blows our way, we find ourselves in this predicament. And if you are finding yourself in that predicament today, I believe that you are in luck because I'm going to talk about the how and also the why, how we get stuck in the first place, but how to get out of it, how to actually become who you want to be and exchange this stranger's life for the life that you have intentionally curated for yourself. And not only for yourself, but for your family, for generations to come. Imagine that. So let's chat. If you are new here, welcome to the Chats with Chastity podcast. My name is Chastity. I'm your host. I'm a licensed therapist, a mom, a wife, entrepreneur. I'm all the things. I like to manage all the different hats and everything that comes with such a full life. And I'm pretty much like you. I'm very ambitious and I like to go after goals. And a lot of the things that you may face in your life, I face in mine. But I want to bring my experience as a therapist and compile it with some helpful tips that might help you today. So, also, if you're all older, you did notice that the podcast changed to Chats with Chastity. More on that later. But anyways, a lot of times we hear the question of who do you want to be, which I feel like is such a big question that Coach, I haven't got the answer to that. I don't know who exactly is I want to be. And there's a reason for that. Humans naturally, we kind of operate out of this pain center. We can identify with what is wrong with us, what we don't like, what irks us, what annoys us. But sometimes we have a hard time figuring out what it is that we want. It's kind of like Blessed, I don't know the young lady's name in Notebook, okay? When he asked her what you want, she's like, I don't know, coach. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. So instead of asking yourself, or me asking you, who is it that you want to be this year, this month, whatever? Who is it that you want to be? I want to ask you, what have you been complaining about? Usually, when you have been complaining about something over and over and over again, that is a tail sign, okay? It's like a check engine light. Girl, something is wrong. Something is off. Your pain center is like, we don't like this, okay? Whether it is, again, how I talked about at the beginning of the episode, I don't like the way that I'm dressing. I don't like the way that I am operating as a mom and a wife. I don't like the way I'm operating at work. And you can complain and go home like, like I hate that such and such said this at the job and I have to do this particular thing at work. I don't like that. Or I hate that this relationship is going this way. I hate that the kids are this. I hate that it's so chaotic in our routines. What are you complaining about? Starting from that point, which naturally comes to us, right? Starting at that natural pain center point, then I want you to go in and say, okay, if these are the things that I don't like, that I'm not really jiving with, coach, you get on my nerves the way I have to do these things at work. I'm so frustrated when I come home and there is stuff all over the floor, okay? You come up with all of these different things that you complain about on a day-to-day basis, and you have those things written down. So get your pen and paper. I forgot to tell you about that. Get your pen and paper, okay? And write that down. On the other side, I want you to talk about, or I want you to write down and think about the future me has figured out a way how to solve that particular problem, right? The future me has already gone through and said, boop, got that check. What else you got? Boop, got that. No problems there, honey. We're good. We've already figured it out. In that future you state, now what are you doing that the problem is solved? Right? What is in place? Do you have particular routines in your household every Sunday? You're meal planning, you're getting out the clothes for the entire week, you are figuring out the chore schedule, right? What is it? Is it Monday morning? You're blocking out your time so that it's not robbed from you as soon as you clock in. Coach, you check Slack and your brain is just scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs. So what are you doing? What problems has that future you already solved, right? How are they operating when they talk to their husband, right? What are they saying to their kids every day? What are they saying to themselves? What kind of books are they reading? What types of ways are they, spending their time? Are they out in nature? Are they cozied up on the couch? What are they inspired by? What does their morning look like? What does their night look like? What do their clothes look and feel like? Because listen, some of us are overstimulated because we got on the wrong fabric. Okay, it's itchy. And every time you go to stretch your arm out to reach for that mouse while you're working, you're itching. You can't think because your sensory overload is too much. Okay, so what kind of clothes are you wearing? What kind of scents are you wearing? What is in your environment that inspires you to do better, to reach your goals, to reignite to you, so you're no longer a stranger living within your body, living within your home, and going to work? Now, I know that there is a huge difference between being able to write those two things down and be able to close the gap so that you're more so on the other side where the future you has solved all those problems versus the current you that is feeling all that pain. I know it's easy to just look at the list and like, that's me. Now what, right? I know it's not easy for you to do it, but I want to introduce you to this kind of method, if you will, that I've come up with over the years. It's called the 80-20-20-80 rule. So you may have heard in some type of explanations about things like 80% of your time should be spent on this and 20% should be spent on this, meaning like the meat of the art of the work that you're going to be doing that's going to take up the bulk of your time. And then 20% is just going to be executing it, right? So I want you to think about how you have probably done similar exercises to this before. You're like, Coach, I already said, I already mapped out my values. I've already talked about the things that I want to do in my life. I just haven't been able to do it. Here is the 80-20-20-80 of that scenario. You have spent 80% of your time researching, listening to podcasts, reading blogs. I don't know, you read blogs? Watching YouTube, creating Pinterest boards, talking to your friends, watching reels or TikToks. Like you've been grabbing all of this information. That 80% of your time has been gone towards that. And only a little slither has been dedicated to actually executing. Here's why that keeps you stuck. Every time you gather a new piece of information, it's almost like your brain has to reset and be like, okay, forget what we learned last night. We gonna go by this plan. Okay, so she said every day, and you're overwhelming yourself with all of this new information, and you're almost trying to say, okay, let me wait and build up my capacity so that I can actually implement what this person or people are telling me to do. So 80% of your time is gathering all of that. Okay, I'm going to push that to the side. Okay, I'm going to do this first. And then, so you're trying to organize all these different things and it's wearing you down and you're stuck. And what you're telling yourself is it takes a whole lot in order for me to change, which is not true. So let's go into the 20-80 part of how I actually want you to think about things. I want you to spend 20% of your time gathering information from people that you trust. That could be your community, your friends, your husband, like maybe somebody on the internet, okay, that you trust. But find that 20% of people that align with your values, the season of life that you are in. Ma'am, you cannot be listening to somebody who is 50 and has lived the greatest life and now they're traveling the world and they've climbed the corporate ladder, they've started the business, they've raised their children, and you're thinking, why can't I have that? And you're trying to work yourself up to their season of life, but your season right now looks completely different. I want you to honor where you are. Honor the season that you're currently in, right? So the values align. Their season of life is very similar to yours. The way that they make decisions are very similar to yours. You think in the same way, right? So 20% of your time gathering information about how am I going to go through this? If you're in a season where you're like, Coach, I want to lose a little weight. I got to climb these steps every day and my knees crackling. And I don't like the way that sounds, you know? Or I don't like the way my clothes fit. Or I just want to look like I did 10, 15 years ago. I don't know. Whatever your goal is, baby, that's up to you. And I ain't gonna judge you for it. But are you engaging with people again that can teach you workout activities that are gonna align with where you are? If you don't like being outside, why are you watching people run? Instead of you trying to gain this new skill of being a runner when you know you don't like running or when you know you don't like being outside, why are you doing that to yourself? You're just creating all of these different barriers and these different obstacles for you to be able to get to your goal, which kind of side note, we do this a lot. You may have heard of the term self-sabotage, right? I kind of think of it as self-protection when you are almost like you are over goal setting. Let's just call it that. You're over goal setting and you're saying, you know what? I'm going to lose 100 pounds tonight, coach. I am going to, but all these lists of things, right, that you have that you want to do, and you overdo it, and you look at it and you're like, wow, that's great. But in your mind, you know that you can't actually do that. And so then you're like, well, now I have permission to sit it out, to wait it out. Coach, I'm gonna wait till Monday. Wait to next month, whenever the next round comes, next year, whatever, because that was too much for me to bite off. Well, again, go back to the season of your life, to the goals that are appropriate and relatable to where you currently are. And that's going to actually help you get to where you are, right? So that 20%, that's so they're gathering that information. And then the 80% is messy action. Listen, I know you. Okay. You like to achieve, but you like to do it in a way of excellence. And if things are not perfect, if they're not polished, if they are not well planned, you don't want to do it. You don't want to look silly. You don't want to look like a failure. You don't want to announce this big thing that you're doing, getting back to yourself, losing the weight or changing your job or setting up these routines in your home or whatever it is. You don't want to announce that and then people be disappointed that you couldn't carry it out. I know you. You have to take that messy action. And the reason why 80% of that is messy action, because that's life. We will never have a perfect plan. On paper, it might be cute. Okay, you got little stickers around it. You got the date when I'm gonna start it. You got this over here. This is what I'm gonna do and when and where. But in reality, when risk and barriers start to coming at you every side, you got kids nibbling at your ankles, and you got a husband want to cooch on up to you in the middle of the night. You're like, Coach, I'm sleepy. Listen, life be happening, okay? And the plans don't always go as they are on paper. And I'm not saying forget what you wrote down, right? Forget the plans. I'm a planner girl. This is what we do, okay? But I want you to be able to take that messy action of executing on what you set out to do, the person that you said you would become on that right side of your paper, right? That is outlined. This future me has already solved the current problems that I'm having. That person takes messy action until they get into the habit of things. And one of the things that I've been realizing this year, or maybe just the last couple months, to be honest with you, I used to have in my mind that people who, were just good at working out or they were good at something that felt very hard to me. I'm like, oh, well, they got an extra gene. Okay. They got something that just makes them happy and they can just do it. I don't understand how they do it. They just get it done. I just don't have that. And then I started to realize that no, those people, they have the same ick and complaint that I have about getting up and working out when I'm tired and I don't feel like it, but they do it anyway, right? They have the same battle with motivation and having to push through that and say, I may not be motivated to do all these meal plans and prep my meals for the week so I'm not living in chaos for the rest of the week, but I'm going to do it because I know my future self is going to appreciate me solving this problem for me. So I want you also to think about that, right? Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for things to be perfect, for the plan to go exactly how it is. And you're like, well, scratch that. I got to start over. No, if you set out a plan that, okay, I'm going to be this type of person that shows up for my kids in this particular way, I'm going to stop yelling at them, okay, because I really don't like that. And then tomorrow night, y'all be quiet. You're like, oopsie, I can't do it. It's a little too hard. I'm going to save that for somebody else. Try it again, right? Give yourself that time and that space and that capacity to fail. Get up, try it again. Fail, get up, and try it again. And you're going to have to repeat that because every person that you are like, wow, this person has this part of their life together. They have that part of their life together. Every person that you idolize in that way or you look up to in that way, they have had to experience the fail, getting up, and trying again. Which brings me to my next point of taking the next step, right? It doesn't have to be, I'm going to go from 0 to 100. Again, I know you, okay? I know you. I'm going to be from a novice to an expert overnight. No, you're not. You're not going to be able to do it. What's the next step, right? Is it writing it down? Mulling over there for a little bit. Whatever that next step is, make it small, make it simple, make it something that you are able to do until you get to that flow, right? I was on Instagram the other day and I came across this video of this old lady. I think she was doing like physical therapy, but she was in the gym and she ended up lifting weights. And at first, I was like, oh, look at this old little lady. I was chuckling at her, okay? Because she came in and she had a little button-up blouse with the scarf. She had on a trouser pants, okay? She had a little socks on with the sandals, with the pin curl still intact. My girl was ready, okay? She said, I'm not changing who I am to come in here with this gym. I'm gonna step up on this block and I'm gonna get down. And I'm gonna be myself as I do it. Okay, so she didn't go out and get the gym clothes. She came as she was. She didn't go out and try to figure, okay, I get the best sweatband so this won't happen to my pin curls as I'm working out. I need to get the best shoes. She said, I got shoes at the house. I got shoes at the house, ma'am. You got shoes at the house. You have everything you need. What's the next step? You might look silly, but that's okay. What's the next step? Lastly, I want to remind you, please, please, I beg of you, do not wallow in the things that you have not done. I know that this is probably the 5th year that you said you are going to start fill in the blank, right? I know that you've told yourself month after month, I'm going to do better about spending. I'm going to do better about organizing. I'm going to do better about blah, 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 blah. Fill in the blank, whatever it is. And you might find yourself in the cycle of planning it, writing it down, gathering the information, staying there, feeling down and depressed about it. I'm never going to change. And that cycle is so defeating to you, it's so depleting of who you are and who you want to be and your future. Do not wallow in shame about the things that you have not done. I want you to focus on that future you that has already solved the problems that you're currently going through. What now are they doing? What next step or first step did they take to be able to get to where they are, to have the relationship with themselves that they've always dreamed of, getting back to their desires, their inspirations, the type of relationship that they have with their kids that are going to outlast their childhood into adulthood, right? The type of relationship that they have with their husband, the type of relationship that they have with their extended family and their friends. What are they saying to themselves? What are they saying to other people? What kind of generosity are they practicing, right? In the world around them. That person is who I want you to think about, right? I want you to have them in your mind versus the head down. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed of what I haven't done, right? I believe that God kind of graces us with the strength that we need for each season, but He's also like, girl, get up. I have everything you need on this side as far as what you want to do. I just need you to get up. I need you to take the next step. I'll help you, but I need you to put in your work as well, right? So that is all for today of how to become the person that you want to be, how to practically do it, how to get out of the funk of living a stranger's life. Okay? Know yourself again. Know your environment again. I think it will make you healthier. I think it would even in parts heal parts of you, right? I hope that this has been helpful. And until next time, peace in, peace out.